there was a study that claimed that 75% of women have experienced a penis much larger than their current boyfriends. So Lincoln posed a question to his community that if your man was to ask you if his was the biggest you've ever had, would you A, lie and say yes to keep the peace, B, keep it real, his feelings be damned, or C, change the topic as fast as humanly possible? And survey says...
You've just tuned in to They Met Online with Ricardo Kingsbury and Michelle Talbot. In 2011, they met online. And then what happened? Oh yeah, then what happened?
I showed up to the date and found out that my little friend was one of my high school students.
Oh, Lord, a little friend? What, I mean, how far has this friendship gone?
It hasn't gone very far.
That's
I shall
good.
be leaving the restaurant now. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's a true story, right? That woman teacher, she was like a kid, right? She's 22.
Yeah, like 22.
But she's a woman, and she made a little snafu with her 17-year-old student.
Wow.
Bad decision. He showed all his friends on the football team, and now she's going to jail.
Do you think she was wrong? I mean, I guess
He's
she
a child.
was because
He's
she's
17.
in a position of authority,
she's in a
right?
position of authority over him. Right. She's a teacher. He's a student. It's high school. He might be 17 and he might be physically grown, but clearly he's mentally not.
Mentally not at all.
Clearly, and she decided to give him oral satisfaction in the stairwell at school. I mean, even dumber.
No, it was in her classroom.
But it's at school. All right, fine, in the classroom. And he showed all his... I can't with you right there. It was peppy. It was peppy.
Where were the teachers
crazy,
like
but here's
that when I was in school?
But here's the thing. You're saying that, but the reality is if it was switched, if it was a 22-year-old guy and a 17-year-old girl, you'd be ready to get your shotgun out, right? If it was your daughter, and in this situation.
Definitely.
And it's
so
really...
I do have to think about it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic that because she's a woman, people are kind of shrugging it off. But the reality is she's still a grown-up and he's still a child.
Yeah, she took advantage
yeah,
of that,
she did. And just because she's so much younger than us, we're looking at her as a kid. But the reality is she's a grown woman.
And you know
and
that was a school of mentally challenged
No, that
kids.
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
No, that I didn't realize. So welcome to They Met Online, the show where we give...
That great TMI.
I don't know if it was great today, but we definitely gave it TMI. We'll have a link to that story on the show notes, actually, if you're not familiar with the story. It happened in our local D.C. area a couple of weeks ago, and that can be found at theymetonline.com/206. So, Ricardo, I am Michelle Talbot, known as Black Lovers on Twitter. Who are you?
And I'm Ricardo Kingsbury. And you can just hit me on Facebook at Ricardo Kingsbury.
And we are the place where if you are thinking about it, we
are definitely talking about it
with a twist. So, dating topic of the week. Or don't do what we did, dating topic of the week. I have to say that I have come across a few men in my time who like either little dogs or cats.
I see where you're going.
And I know how you feel about cats.
I love cats.
It's the most weird thing to me.
Really? Because I grew up going out back outside of my house in the alley, myself and my brothers catching infant cats, bringing them in the house. They'd be scared of us for a little while, and then they'd come around. It was all about raising a little baby cat.
Yeah, but
to
it's a
full
cat,
adult.
man. I mean,
What's
see,
wrong?
this is so funny to me because from a gender role perspective, I think you and one other brother I know love cats. Single guys who like cats. And it just boggles my mind. And same thing with single guys with little dogs. It's just weird to me.
Right.
Like, how do you feel? You walk up and you're meet a woman and you come over her house and she got this big ass Rottweiler or this big
I'm good
pit
with
bull.
that. I'm good. As long as they don't try to bite me, I'm good.
So,
if she got a monkey, you're
in love. You're marrying her. You married a monkey and keep her.
Yeah.
But I know how you feel about monkeys. But it's just weird to me. I don't know, ladies, if you feel a certain type of way or not, I would like to know.
I've had women come to the house and they see my little baby cat and they're like,
"That's weird.
What's going on? Like, really? What,
it's really interesting.
Really have a cat,
right?
Like a feline,
right? Right.
Where's your silk
Pit,
pajamas,
right? Your ascot,
walking frilly coat,
looking like you have in your pajamas.
Wait for me to start playing the Prince music,
right? With cognac and a snifter. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I love cats.
No, it's something to
I
be
love
thought
cats,
of.
and I think my brother, my older brother, and my sister, they love cats too.
That's really interesting.
Well, no, my sister doesn't because she was attacked by a cat.
Well, that'll make you not love
younger,
a cat.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us at They Met Online. If you have thoughts, you can now leave us voicemail messages on any device, from any device, on our website, theymetonline.com. This show is going to be at theymetonline.com/205, but you can leave us messages on our Facebook page, by voicemail. You can leave us messages on any page on our website, theymetonline.com. We would love to hear from you. You can leave us comments below in the show notes, because I want to know, am I the only person who is a little weirded out the first time you find a guy who likes cats?
What about people who are too friendly with their pets? Period.
Oh, well, that whole licking in the mouth and eating off to it.
I've seen some dogs do some crazy things.
Really?
Not anything too crazy, but like some weird stuff.
You know, that was the first erotica. Did they pass around, like when you were up at Hershey, did y'all pass around naughty books? Like somebody would sneak a book on the campus or a magazine or something?
Definitely.
So when I went to school in Hollis, Queens at what used to be JHS, Junior High School 192 up on Hollis Ave.
There you go. You
I had to put that out there. Anyway, so the first book that we all saw, I think we were like 6th or 7th grade, it was called The Family Animal. And it was about bestiality. So everybody took it home for a night. It weirded me out. Yeah, that was the first quote unquote erotica. It was an erotic novel, and it was about a German Shepherd and this family. And what the German Shepherd did with the family is beyond for me.
I didn't see anything until anything like that until I was like 30 something.
I don't know whose household that book came out of.
I mean, like,
but that came from somebody's parents' stash.
I don't know where you found that book, but I need to bury that drink.
But hey, kids will be kids. So at any rate,
kids will be kids. That's some bullshit.
But at any rate, we are talking today with Lincoln Anthony Blades, also known as thisisyourconscience.com. He was on the show when we were a baby podcast, episode number 4, when we had the Brothers of Blogging and a sister, and he really had written some interesting articles in response, actually, to Jay Stone's article about dating outside of our race and black women dating white men and black men giving up on sisters. And it was a really interesting episode. If you haven't heard it, again, that's episode number 4 of They Met Online, and we'll also link to that in the show notes. It was a really interesting episode.
Yeah, very intelligent, bro.
So we're going to take a real quick break. We're going to go out on some Drake and Rihanna, Take Care, and we'll come back on the other side and talk to Lincoln.
All right.
About you and they told me things, but my mind didn't change and I still feel the same. What's a life with no fun? Please don't be so ashamed. I've had mine, you've had yours, we both know. We know they won't get you like I will. My only wish is I die real, cause that truth hurts and those lies heal, and you can't sleep thinking that he lies still, so you cry still, tears all in a pillowcase. Big girls all get a little taste, pushing me away, so I give her space, dealing with a heart that I didn't.
Welcome back to They Met Online, the show where we give that
great TMI.
We are really excited. We just played, you just heard Take Care by Drake and Rihanna. And we play that because our next guest actually uses an image from that video for his show, one of his shows, Relationships and Bullshit. And so we're really happy to have him with us here today. We are speaking with none other than Lincoln Anthony Blades.
Yes, sir.
AKA This Is Your Conscience. Lincoln Anthony Blades is the founder and editor-in-chief of the critically acclaimed online magazine, thisisyourconscience.com. Described as a daily news commentary source for urban professionals with common sense, Lincoln explores politics, sports, love, and relationships with his unique personality, and it is definitely unique, and candor, and he is definitely candid. He is known for his ability to create and embolden a conversation, and he has recently extended his highly popular weekly podcast, R&B, Relationships and Bullshit, into a successful touring event, bringing the discussion to his audience across North America. Lincoln, thank you so much for joining us on They Met Online. We are so happy to have you with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I really appreciate it.
So this week, we decided to stalk your Facebook page because you have the most interesting conversations going on over there. And one of the things we came across was a surprise wedding where a bride invited her groom over for what he thought was just some hangout time.
And tricked him.
And that apparently was not the case. So tell us more about that and how your audience responded to that little setup.
So basically what happened was there's this woman who I guess she was dating a guy for a while and she was interested in getting married. So what she did is she told him that they were going to be attending a friend's wedding. So obviously, you know, for a wedding, you're going to dress very nice. You're going to have your suit on or whatever. And then when he showed up at the venue to meet her for their friend's wedding, he was greeted by his friends and his family, as well as her friends and her family. And then he was notified that it was actually their wedding. And so the reason I put that out was because that was kind of like a hyperbolic example of a lot of the discussions that I've been having online, especially on Facebook and Twitter, and even offline as well, which is, what is the woman's role in pursuing a relationship? You know, and we talk about this all the time because the new thing, and this was something that was a big topic of discussion this past summer, was there's a lot of women, and you're seeing this on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff. A lot of women are posting pictures online of them down on one knee proposing to their boyfriends.
Right, we
and
have
I
seen
think it was back in May. I asked people, I was like, "Well, what do you think about that?" And it was interesting because, you know, most people were kind of like, I think people are kind of split. They're more split than I thought they would be.
Wow.
You know, me personally, I said, I in no way, shape, or form, no way in hell would I ever want my woman to propose to me.
And I think that's what most men would say. I think that's what most men would say.
Yeah, because, you know, I think for me as a man, and you know what the thing about it is, it's not even about gender roles and all this other stuff. It's just, as a man, as much as the woman looks forward to maybe the wedding day, because we know that the wedding day is almost primarily about the woman. She's the star of the day. The engagement is kind of like my thing. It's my way to make her feel special. You know what I mean? And if I wouldn't like if I got that taken away, because then it's just selfish at that point. Because then what do I do at this point? You know, I get proposed to, and then the wedding day I'm just kind of there. I you know, don't take that away from me. But
you can't say
general, then in terms of.
You can't say then that it's not about gender roles. That's exactly what it's about, Lincoln. It is about gender roles, and we just you know, call a thing a thing. It's gender roles, and the gender roles are that men propose and women wait. But okay, here's what here's my question though. Fine when it comes to engagements. I get where you guys are coming from. It's something that you guys feel like is your domain. It's something that you should do. My question to you is, does this also relate then to the first date? Does this also relate then to who calls who first? No, all of that, approaching someone. Are all of those still also part of that same gender dynamic where it seems like the man has to initiate?
Well, I think it's a little bit different, case to case to case to case. And for this case, let's start with this woman who invited this guy for the surprise wedding. The reason why that's not cute is of the whole surprise element and the fact that she kind of took his will not into consideration, right? And it's a lifelong thing. It's not just, they're not getting married for the next week. I mean, we're talking about for the rest of their lives, right? Now, when you look at something such as the engagement, and the reason why I said I don't want this to be portrayed as a simple gender issue is because at the end of the day, in a relationship where a man loves a woman, there are certain things that a man wants to be able to do. So for me, the dropping down on the one knee and propose and showing the woman I love the ring and then getting the yes, that is something that I look forward to. So it's not about men and women. It's just don't take that from me. That's kind of my thing.
Well,
less serious things.
I thought Michelle was going to.
First date is serious.
I thought Michelle was going to ask a different question.
Well, I do have a different. What did you think I was going to say?
That you were going to ask. So what if you get engaged and the man is bullshitting?
Right.
Like,
I was going to go there.
Go ahead. See, I'm playing devil's advocate right now. You know, and so he's bullshitting, sitting around, and you're like, when the hell are we going to get married? So finally you take it into your own hands and propose or you know, sneak him to a fake wedding and propose to him. I mean, not propose, but now you guys are getting married.
Well, that was my point. Exactly. I wanted to start with the engagement. Now let's get back to the wedding.
Right.
My point on the wedding is that while maybe what she did was a bit deceptive.
Yes, it was.
It seems interesting to me that his entire family was like, okay, that sounds like a great idea.
Because they knew he was bullshit.
Exactly. So to me, it seems like he was just a shit and not getting off the pot kind of person. He didn't shit or get off the pot. He was just kind of wandering around the bathroom.
We still ain't going for it.
The point is that his whole family bought into this. So I just feel like there has to be more to this story than meets the eye. Like maybe he is just this. I don't even know why she wants to marry him. I'm sorry. If he's this much of a procrastinator, she could love that man. But if he can't get it together to get the wedding together, and he's proposed, arguably he's already proposed to her.
And his whole family knows he's a procrastinator. That's why they all were there, and which is some bullshit. Because I would have ran out of that motherfucker.
Well, I love the way Lincoln phrases it.
I don't understand why she did that.
No, I don't either. But
the thing is, I look at it from a perspective with relationships that, and this is something I've actually said a lot of times, and I don't know why people find this controversial because I don't really find that controversial, but I've said oftentimes that I think women control sex, and I think that men control relationships. Insofar as it happening, you know, and I think in some ways, like what she's doing is she's molesting his intentions, you know. He's not ready to take that step for whatever reason, and yes, it is. We can say he's procrastinating. We can say he's full of shit. But she has now raped his time.
Lord have mercy. This is like the most violent wedding I've ever heard of.
Like his time has now been molested, and I think that's the problem that I had with it. If he's not willing to commit to you, then you need to find the man who is.
That's what I'm saying. He's not worthy, clearly, of this marriage, or she and he do not need to be together in a marriage scenario if she has to dupe him into showing up at his own wedding. I just feel like it's starting the marriage off with on the foot of deception and dishonesty.
And I'm still stuck on molesting
his time.
Because, I don't want nobody molesting my time.
We're not going to molest the listener's time anymore with this story either. So,
Neil reference.
Kim Kardashian has decided to do a spread, no pun intended, for Paper Magazine.
It was spread.
And it was an interesting shot. it is a shot that has actually been done before, and we're going to definitely put a link to it on the show notes of theymetonline.com/206. But she did a shot for Paper Magazine, and aside from the shot itself, some of the comments that I saw afterward were, "You're someone's mother." Right? So put it away. Put your ass away. Nobody wants to see you greased up behind anymore.
But they do.
Right. Well, listen, I'm gonna put a couple things out there. So I'm just gonna talk about the comments. So you're someone's mother. I saw another comment that said, "Hey, what you did to get the fame is what you have to do to keep the fame." Right?
That's deep.
Another question: is it just too much ass to show? Right, on the morning show, they were like, "That's just too much."
In the words
for
of
it
Luther
to be
Vandross,
naked.
never too much, never too much.
It was just too much and too shiny and too glistening. All right, and here's my question. I want to add to this: is her audience becoming more and more international and less U.S. based, so that this is actually more international? Now we can get into the Columbusing of it all and the fact that a woman of African descent actually did that pose 30 years ago. We can come back to that, but let's start at least with the thought that she's someone's mother. Her audience, does she have to continue to just ramp up and vamp up her sexiness, Lincoln, for her to continue to be able to have the success that she's already had?
Well, I think that we need to make a very clear distinction here. And I think that there's a distinction, especially in this like Instagram quick fame world, that we typically don't make the distinction of. And it's the difference between attention and respect. Kim Kardashian and her crew and a lot of people, men and women who are famous nowadays, they aren't respected. They just have a lot of attention. And if you are famous for getting attention, then you have to do whatever you have to do to keep your attention. Now, me personally, I don't really, well, not to say I don't really, I literally have no respect for her family or anything that they do. You know what I mean? Because I don't think their playbook is really, really, really disgusting. And it's funny because I don't think we're going to be troubled by it until like the documentary on their life comes out like years and years down the line. Like the fact that her mother sold a sex tape of her daughter, all of that kind of stuff. When that stuff starts coming out down the line, we're going to be like, wow, that was actually kind of disturbing that we were so enamored by this family. Right. But honestly, I look at her attention that she gets, and I'm at the point now where I really don't care. It's the Paper Magazine thing was like, we're going to break the internet. And it's like, not really. Like, I've seen her having sex on camera.
Right, you've seen the ass before.
They didn't break the internet, believe me.
Really anything special.
No.
Exactly.
It's not.
It really isn't. It's so funny because exactly your sentiments are like mine. It's like, okay, whatever. Okay, so then let's segue really quickly, since you did bring up that there may be some things that come out at a later date that will make us question why we were so enamored. I guess a couple days ago, Khloe Kardashian put up a picture of herself with Kim and Courtney and said, KKK, the only KKK that ever let black men in. And so folks are like, I'm really confused. Like, are you a person of color or are you white? What are you saying? Is this really a joke to you? It just raised so many questions, and people just are raising, I guess, the people's eyebrow that The Rock would raise in this scenario. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do have one thought. The one thought that I found funny about the entire situation is the fact that this Khloe Kardashian Instagram drama happened virtually at the same time the Nicki Minaj Nazi music video drama thing happened. And to see the responses from the community has reinforced something that I've believed a lot, is that I keep calling her Kim, Khloe Kardashian, one of the tall one, She made a joke essentially about lynching. And Nicki Minaj made this music video that is essentially kind of like paralleling the Young Money movement to like Hitler and the Nazi movement and the Holocaust. And a lot of well, I'm going to say a lot of black people. I don't just want to say black men. I'll say a lot of black people came to the defense of Khloe Kardashian. But if you noticed, a lot of like Jewish fans didn't necessarily come to the defense of Nicki Minaj.
Right.
You know? And I always find that dynamic very interesting in the African American community, that black people will yell at other black people and say, hey, like, you know, let's defend Khloe. Like, hey, shut up. Stop being like that. And then when Nicki Minaj was getting read and the Jewish people could talk to other Jewish people, they were like, well, if you're mad, I mean, you know, there's not much we can do. You know? And it's funny. It's just that dynamic I found really interesting.
Well, then what are your thoughts? Because I think this harkens even back to the Snoop T.I. Iggy Azalea phenomena, right? Where Snoop went off on Iggy and posted a picture that clearly wasn't her, but, you know, clowned her. This is her without makeup. And then she and he went back and forth. And then T.I. came in and deaded it. And it's again, I mean, how many black women have been gone on Twitter and on other media and no one has stepped up? But it seems as though when white women, you know, really come across as overstepping, there's always going to be someone to come to their rescue. I think this is a really interesting conversation. Is it that, you know, black women, sisters could take care of themselves? Or do we come across so strong? You know, what are your thoughts on that, Lincoln? Do you have thoughts?
I think that there's a lot of black people who, because especially me, more than relationships, I think that I do write, especially now, more predominantly about race. And every time I write about race, there's a whole bunch of people, especially black people, who are like, well, why are you always talking about race? Like, you know, racism isn't that big of a problem. Like, if you stop writing about racism will go away. And there's a lot of black people who they think that we live in this post-racial world where we're all so equal and where we'll all help each other out in many different ways. But what they don't realize is that in a lot of ways, the stuff that we think white Americans will do for African Americans, they won't and they don't. Because when African Americans find themselves in drama, their white fans or the Asian fans or whoever, they'll just be like, oh, well, tough break for him, you know? If a dude says an offensive, if a black rapper was to say something overtly offensive about like the gay community or whoever, people would just be like, oh, well, tough break for him, you know? As opposed to saying, oh, well, we are the world, let's help each other out. And I think that goes back to even deeper issues of like self-hatred and stuff like that.
Wow. Well, I think you definitely summed that up. Well, we're going to segue from self-hatred to possibly self-love. So there was a study that claimed that 75% of women have experienced a penis much larger than their current boyfriends. So Lincoln posed a question to his community that if your man was to ask you if his was the biggest you've ever had, would you A, lie and say yes to keep the peace, B, keep it real, his feelings be damned, or C, change the topic as fast as humanly possible? And survey says, what did your community say, Lincoln? Overwhelmingly?
I think most of the women were saying that they would just change the topic and they would just try to avoid having to give a direct answer. That was the overwhelming response. Okay,
I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to say the same. I don't want to lie.
I'm not going to say the same.
I don't want to lie. I would rather say, you know, you are perfect for me. And
but see, that lets me know off the top that, yeah, I'm not
If you're perfect
I'm
for
not the
me, it
biggest.
doesn't matter because there is so much more to sex than size. Size matters,
But you guys know
but
how we think about
emotional connection
men-
matters so much more.
But you know how we think about ourselves. If we're not,
But the point is, I think it's a
if
stupid
we're
question. Can
running
we start
around
with it's a
thinking-
stupid question men shouldn't ask? Let's just get
if
this
we-
out
if
here.
we're running
Let's
around-
make a man law. I'm a woman who's going to make a man law.
No, you can't
You
make a
may
man
not
law.
ask
You
me
can't make a
two
man
questions. One is how many past lovers I've had, and two is if you're the biggest
am I
I've
the
ever
biggest?
had. Those are two questions. New man law. Stop asking those questions. It's a bad question to ask.
we're going to ask anyway because we're men.
It's a dumb question.
And don't lie to me. If
No, I'm gonna lie.
I'm
I'm not gonna
on
lie.
the baby. Tell me. I'm like.
But don't you
Just be
know
like,
you have
but-
a mirror?
No,
right?
But you
You've
don't
been
know,
in the
but unless
gym.
you walk. No, you can be in the gym and not look at somebody else's
Oh, stop playing.
penis erect.
Lincoln, what say you?
I'm an advocate of lying, and the reason why I think that the lie is important is because I look at it like I said, I just believe it's that sex is a place of fantasy. You know, the bedroom is a place of, and I think that, like for instance, if a guy is hitting it from the back and he's like, you know. Is it deep? Like, you're not supposed to say, well, you know, I mean, I've had deeper, but, you know, you're doing an okay job. It's like, in the moment, he's just kind of, you're just thrown in and you're just saying whatever. And I think if a man asks you a question like that, yes, you can keep it real, but to what end? Like, yes, you were honest, but if that's not helping, if he needs that to maintain the fantasy, then just maintain the fantasy.
Oh, see, okay, let's make a distinction here because this has actually caught me out there a couple times. What you say in bed to me should not be taken as literal.
Michelle, you gonna
when
be like,
you get out to bed.
All right, no,
No.
Michelle, you gonna be like deeper. You gonna like
I can't go any deeper.
deeper. Michelle, I'm as deep
at
as
the
I
end
can
of my
go.
rope,
What you want me
damn
to do?
Switch. So anyway, where's my cell phone?
So now you
Anyway,
know.
I got to make a
So,
call.
Yeah, so now you know.
Basically.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I think that basically the issue is that what's said in bed is in that moment. To me, that's a four-corner rule. Like in law school, we're taught what's on the four corners of the paper, what's inside of that four corners on that piece of paper is what rules. And that's how I rule my love life. What is said in the four corners of the bed is sacrosanct to the bed. Don't hold me to that outside the bed. Whose is it? It's yours. Am I the best?
It's
Absolutely.
yours. You the best. That's what you gonna say?
In the
Got
bed.
that man running around with his chest poking out.
No, but seriously, I think that this could really come back to bite you on the butt. And it has bit me on the butt where I make someone feel that they are way better than they are. And they walk around like Excalibur. And I'm like, damn, that was a bad thing to
Why did you
do
do that?
because they need to do work. Like they need to step it up if this is a long-term
But you are good at
relationship.
stroking egos.
I am very good at
Yeah,
stroking
you are.
egos. And so I got to really like be careful because I can end up by lying or not being fully disclosing or taking the route that Lincoln advocates, I can end up really with a guy who's not going to strive to be better.
So why
right?
did you
So there
always
has
tell
to-
me the truth?
Shut up. Shut up. fool.
Why? Why did you always tell me the truth about myself?
I can't. I wanted you to strive to be better, bro.
Is that what it was? Okay.
But I
Drink.
would also say that there's a difference between better and bigger, you know, between size and performance.
That's true.
Because size can't change, performance can, you know. So I'm not saying to lie about bad sex. I would never, ever, ever, ever tell anyone to do that because that just hurts you more than anything else. But the size thing is like, you know, it's he can't change, you know, and him feeling confident about his size will always be better than him feeling not confident.
But here's my point, Lincoln. You guys know what your penis's size is. Come on now.
No,
stop.
no,
You've
no,
all
it's not
watched
true.
porn.
can watch
Most of you
porn.
have been in a gym.
Oh, my
Most of you
goodness.
have been
Oh, my
exposed to
goodness.
other men's penile. So you know, and you can tell when you're inside of a woman.
but
I
this-
mean, come on now.
The thing is that no man can tell relatively, and that's what the problem is. Because the problem is
true.
is that, for example, if you look at some women who date, whatever in the average population, right? They could date in Boston, Massachusetts, and date a bunch of Harvard dudes and stuff like that. Then you can have women who date NBA players, right? So now, if you're not an NBA player, but the last guys she's dated have all been, NFL and NBA superstars, that question might peek into the back of your mind, and that's the reason why some dudes might ask.
This is my point is this is his problem. This is his low self-esteem. He needs to get over it, because if his size is immutable and can't be changed, it is what it is. Don't ask me, are you the biggest? If you have qualms or problems, if you're not feeling me, right? Because I used to have a guy friend who would say, don't talk about I'm not big enough. Maybe you're too wide, right? So maybe a woman is too big. If we're not sexually compatible, we're not sexually compatible, regardless of who's too big, too small, not big enough, small enough, etc. The point is you have to move on, because this is a self-esteem issue at its core. And I think that we do more harm by asking questions that show that we are clearly struggling with some area than to have an honest conversation. Now, maybe there's a better conversation to have, and it's less about, am I the biggest you ever had, but do I please you? How can I please you? Making sure that I'm pleasing you. Who gives a shit if it's big? Mm-hmm. I've been with guys that are like Donkey Kong, and they're selfish. So that's not a good sexual experience.
What do you mean selfish? What do you mean?
I mean, they come like that, and it's just like, oh, you ain't get yours, my bad.
Yeah, but some people don't like Donkey Kong. Some people don't like Donkey
right.
Kong.
And then there are some women who really don't like large penises. So it's not even a good question to ask. There's just no value to be gained from that question. There's just none. And I'm never going to tell. Are you the biggest? No, I'm never going to tell a guy.
You know what? I don't
Unless
think I would
really
ever
is the biggest.
I don't think I would ever ask, am I the biggest?
Right. I think it's a ridiculous question.
As opposed to,
am I pleasing you?
Am I pleasing you?
Am I the best? Am I in your top 5?
And is it big enough?
Is it big enough? Does it do it for you, baby?
Or do you not feel
Lincoln,
it?
I just can't lie. I just think that line, in the past, I've pretended to have orgasms and done all kinds of things that I think
that's trickery.
That's problematic.
That's trickery.
Exactly. But Lincoln is advocating lying, and I just don't think it's a good idea.
I don't think he's advocating
he
faking
said, "Tell
an
me
orgasm."
I'm the biggest. No, but
Lincoln,
he
are you
lied
advocating faking an orgasm
you've ever had?
Lincoln, are you advocating faking an orgasm? Please tell us.
No, because like I was saying from the last segment, I want to differentiate between size and performance, because it's two completely different things. Mm-hmm. So I would never tell someone to lie about bad sex. If you're having bad, and that's the thing, is that we're talking a lot about performance, but the performance doesn't. This question is not a question that is asked, and this is what women were saying on the Facebook post, was that this question isn't a question that's asked by women who are just having bad sex. Mm-hmm. There's women who are having good sex, and the dude will still ask, even though they have an amazing sex life. Right. And that's the reason why I was saying, for me, and the thing about self-confidence or self-esteem is that that's an issue that affects men and women. Because I've dated women who have self-esteem issues. And the thing about it is that when you're dealing with someone who has self-esteem issues, you have to have a very subjective version of the truth, because you can't sit there and say, I'm just going to keep it real exactly how it is. Like, I know I was dating a woman who was overweight, and she was going to the gym and she was losing weight. She was still overweight, but she was losing weight. So if she asked me, like, oh, I'm just feeling fat, I don't know, like, what do you think? I could say, like, yeah, fuck, you're still 27 pounds overweight. What the hell's wrong with you? Or I could say, well, look, honestly, every day I see you working hard. Every day I see you, how much work you're putting in to improve yourself. And I think you're great. Just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like, it depends on how you answer the question.
I think that's fair, Lincoln, and I think you're right. And I think that if someone is struggling with something like weight or trying to do something better themselves, go to school, etc., that's a different conversation. That's something that they're changing and is in the process of being changed. So if, like you said, we're not talking about performance, but we're talking about size cannot be changed. There's no point in lying.
But what about all the stuff that they put on the internet that you can change your size?
Lord have mercy.
The pumps.
Okay, so here's the deal. Bullshit. If I haven't purchased anything for you to increase the size of your penis, assume you're good. How about that? Assume we're good. Can that be the rule? Can that be new man law?
No. No. And videos don't tell the whole story.
I can't. I'm done.
No, I'm just saying. Like, you can watch a video all day long. That's trick photography.
All right. So there's another segue. Thank you, Ricardo, with your trickery. So video. Speaking of video, it's been a couple of weeks since the Hollaback street harassment video was released, and a lot of things have sort of played out over time. So I'm going to just start by asking Lincoln, what are your thoughts on it now that we're 2-3 weeks from release of the video, in terms of the woman who walked around New York City for 10 hours. It happened to be a white woman who, once the video was edited down to what ended up on YouTube, it ended up being a video showing a day long of her being barraged with various levels of interaction by Black and Latino and brown and Black men, and maybe one or two white guys. That had all, the rest of the white guys had all been edited out of the film, and the movement then therefore was started or restarted, or the voice got louder for talking about how are we going to treat street harassment, cat calling, all of that on our streets. So what are some thoughts that you have on that, Lincoln, now that we've had some time to digest?
Well, I actually really dislike the video. I think that the video, everything about the video is pretty reprehensible, especially the fact that Hollaback is nothing more than a marketing agency. And I'm someone who loves studies, and I love controlled experiments. And the problem with this experiment is that it doesn't give you a good idea of exactly what happened, because they're not tracking any other statistics. They're not saying like, they'll say, okay, she was talked to by 100 men in 10 hours. But it doesn't track, like, let's say how many men didn't talk to her, or it doesn't say how many men or how many people of different cultures or anything like that. It just was basically this marketing video to only prove a point by only selectively editing certain video or parts of her experiment into the video. So I personally do not like that video, but the bigger problem here is that the corniness of that video is now being used by a lot of people to down talk how important the discussion of street harassment is, and there's a woman, the woman in Detroit who I think it was a few weeks ago, who was murdered for not giving a man her number. Like, that's what we need to be talking about. Right. We need to be talking about underage girls who are being harassed by these sort of pedophile old men on their way home from school. Like, that's what we need to talk about. But the idea that this video should frame the entire discussion around street harassment is troubling.
And, Lincoln, do you think that the way she might have been dressed, I mean, from the video, I didn't see what she looked like from,
she had on like black jeans
from behind,
or something.
But whatever she had, it seemed to attract a lot of African American men. And I don't know if she had some tight jeans on or whatever she had on, but it seemed to me to attract a lot of African American men. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and the only troubling part about it is that we don't really know exactly how much interest she actually generated, because there was no statistic or no calculation for how many black men may have walked by her and didn't say anything, or how many white men said something, or how many Asian men said something. True. So the way the video's edited, it's like, oh, well, a lot of black guys find her attractive. And to be very honest with you, I can see how she has an attractive I don't know the word I'm looking for, but she has like she gives off an attractive vibe, but she's not attractive. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, not to sound rude or anything, but it's like she kind of has that. You know that girl from Groove Theory? It's like if I was standing.
I definitely know the girl from Groove Theory. I'm in love with her.
Amel LaRue.
Yes, praise God.
Yeah, like if you are standing like, you know, far away enough with a hand over your eye and you're squinting, you might say like, oh, there's something, whatever. But when you get close up, you're like, ugh.
He's tripping. No, she's gorgeous. You're
so,
tripping.
I mean, but at the end of the day, you don't necessarily have.
For who? Amel LaRue? Oh, she's gorgeous. But he's talking about her.
You don't have to be extremely attractive to be harassed in the street.
Well, yeah.
Like, you really don't have to be that sexy.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that your point with regard to Mary Spears, who is a 27-year-old woman who was gunned down in Detroit because a man made advances toward her, and she actually was engaged to another man and had children and, you know, was in another relationship. And this guy, I think there's a greater issue with regard to rejection. You know, I can say, well, let's talk about two things. One, let's go back to the clothing piece. Ricardo asked a question in terms of what she was wearing, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it's fair to put that onus on women that, oh, okay, you're dressed in a certain way, so if you walk down the street, you're inviting attention. And while Ricardo's point is that she may have attention. You can invite attention, but that doesn't mean that men have the right to say whatever they want to you, hello, to follow you.
Which 9 out of 10 times during that video, they just were saying hello.
I understand, and I think that's the issue.
You had the one dude who followed her for like
he followed her for
3-4 blocks or whatever. That was weird, but 9 times out of 10, they were just speaking.
And I think we have to understand what is the distinction between just quote unquote saying hello or wanting more. And I think 9 times out of 10, and even 10 times out of 10 from my own personal experience, when a man says hello, he really wants it to lead to more.
To sex?
Yeah, if not more.
That's not true.
Come on.
And see, I've spoke to plenty of women that I had no intention of having sex with. No intention.
You might not have had an intention of it, but if it happened, you wouldn't have been upset.
We make eye contact. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? Keep it moving. That's it. Now, if I go beyond that, then I'm trying to get at her.
But most men do go beyond that. You say
but
hello.
I will speak to anybody.
I say hello. I don't stop my feet. I keep my feet moving. There is always a follow up. No guy ever just says hello.
I would see, Michelle.
Okay. Here's the deal. Listen, listeners. We really want you to weigh in on this subject.
Yeah, please.
You can leave us a voicemail message on our Facebook page
and
or our website.
What's the question?
The question is, if a man says hello on the street, does he want more or not? Does it end at hello? I would like you women to let us know how many of you, if you've said hello back, that there's been no additional follow-up, because I think Ricardo is wrong.
No, Ricardo's right.
Lincoln, why do men speak to women on the street?
I know what Lincoln's going to say. I think. I don't know. Let's see.
Well, I actually think that you guys are both right. And I think that the thing is that for me, because the thing is for me, I'm the opposite of Ricardo. Like, I have no time or inclination to talk to a woman that I'm not interested in sleeping with, unless it's about business or money.
I like the honesty, though. I have
no reason to stop. So, but the truth is, there are men out there like Ricardo, And I also said that there's also a cultural aspect to it too, because, when I'm in the South, I find that people do that a lot. Like, it'll just be a good morning, and it is what it is. It's actually just a good morning.
That's right.
When I'm home in Barbados, it's the same thing. It's just good morning, and that's what it is. Now, when you're in more northern metropolitan cities like New York or DC or Toronto, you're gonna like someone saying good morning, and it's kind of like the Chris Rock joke. They're offering dick.
Thank you.
That's what they're pretty much doing.
Exactly. On a platter with some parsley on the side. Stop playing. Look, I'm going to tell you this story. So the other day I got off, stop lying. You're going to hear it. I don't care if you want to hear it. So the other day I get off the bus and I'm on my way home. I stop in a little corner store and I come out. A gentleman holds the door, and I'm using the term loosely, gentleman. Gentleman holds the door for me. I come out and he's like, hey, how you doing? I say, fine. My feet keep going. He's like, I see you around here a lot. I would love to take you to dinner. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm in a relationship. Feet have never stopped moving. He's still coming behind me, right? Then he said, oh, okay. Well, do you have $1 I could have? Right? So I'm like, see, wait, hold on, dude. Now my feet stop. So my feet actually stopped at this point. I turned around. I'm like, how are you taking me to dinner? You need $1. He was like, I get paid Friday. Yeah. Now, see, that was like, a hello that didn't mean hello.
If I couldn't get her, then fuck it. I might as well get some money from her real quick. At least $1. Yeah.
And this is the foolishness that we have to deal with on the streets every day as women. It's just foolishness. Y'all I've been told suck a dick and die because I didn't respond in a way that a guy wanted me to respond. Now, yes, maybe he's mentally disturbed, possibly, but the man who shot Mary Spears, maybe he's mentally disturbed. But how many of these things have to happen before we begin to have a conversation that says, men, all women on the planet are not here for your taking. You are not owed my attention because you exist. And you have to understand rejection. And I think that this is coming down to men not being able, the men who respond in this manner, not being able to handle rejection in a way that's positive.
But there are always going to be men out there who are just different from there's going to be that crazy person walking around the street that you see it all the time. People get locked up for doing crazy shit. So
I agree.
Always going to be that person out there who's walking around and looks normal, but is batshit crazy.
You mean like you? You look normal.
I ain't that dude.
You the dude walking around saying hello to people and don't want to ask.
Say, because I say hello because I'm genuinely.
Doing?
I like people. I like people, and I like to speak to people.
And I will smile, but sometimes we just got to be careful because as women, if we open the door or if we let the man open the door and we walk through it, we're going to end up in this labyrinth. And sometimes we just ignore because it's just the easier route to take.
But do you think we all have to be careful because there are crazy people out here?
There's crazy people on all sides.
Or just women have to be careful because of the men that are trying to get away with something?
No, I think there totally are crazies on all sides. But I think that the problem is what we're seeing is that there's violence coming out of men being rejected by women. And that's really where my concern is. I'm less concerned with this holla back video and a bunch of people talking to this white woman walking down the street because I think the video was contrived. I think that it was edited in a way to make brown and black men look poorly. I don't think the conversation was full and robust. And actually, there's a very robust conversation that we're going to post on our page about, really extending the spectrum in terms of what this looks like. But I think Lincoln actually had mentioned to us recently that they are looking to change laws in New York City with regard to street harassment. And Lincoln, if you could talk a little bit about that before we sign off, I'd appreciate it because I think that these are the things that are very important conversations. It's less about the holla back video and more about the policies that people are trying to put in place to police brown and black men.
Well, interestingly enough, the Hollaback Group, the marketing agency, on their website, they have listed that one of their major goals is to get laws enacted in New York State that would actually criminalize the behavior of street harassment. And I actually saw this woman. She is not only is she a feminist, but she's an attorney. And she did a video, and you can actually find it on World Star Hip Hop, where she's talking about this law. And she's like, the problem with drafting this sort of drafting a bill that would address this sort of situation is that it would be based in a lot of generalities. and with the way that the current police, the way that the NYPD have been moving, you pretty much know who it's going to affect. It's going to affect black. It's going to affect brown. It's going to affect blue collar people. It's going to affect people in socioeconomically deprived areas. Right. And those are kind of like, that's a law that I would definitely not entrust to the NYPD to hold up and enforce properly.
We totally are in agreement on that, Lincoln. Look at that. We found something to have a kumbaya moment about after all. Definitely. We want to thank you so much for joining us. If you could tell our listeners where they can find you and support you. I know that you tour around North America with your live events, and of course you have your podcast. So we're going to link everything onto our website at theymetonline.com/206. And Lincoln, you can tell our folks where they can find you now as well, please.
Okay. My website is thisisyourconscience.com. My Instagram is thisisyourconscience. You can find me on Twitter at Lincoln A. Blades, and I'm on Facebook as Lincoln Anthony Blades. And my R&B relationships and bullshit show will be coming. Well, the podcast is every Sunday at 5 p.m., but the actual live event is going to be coming to various cities in 2015. Right now, the next scheduled show is going to be Toronto, January 17th. Saturday, January 17th. And then after that, I know that New York and DC and the UK are some potential stops, but we have to organize the dates for all of those. But that's pretty much what I have coming up.
Well, that is really exciting. And you know, when you come to DC, we are going to come and just turn up. I see that there's a petition going around for words that are going to be banned for 2015. Turn up may be one of them, but I'm going to use it right now while I can. So we are definitely going to come out and support you should you make it here to DC. We will be there. Lincoln, thank you so much for blessing us with your thoughts.
Thank you, bro.
Far from bullshit. Okay, we're going to take a break right now, and we're going to play Party and Bullshit. Thank you so much, Lincoln. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure.
I was a terror since the public school era. Bathroom passes, cutting classes, squeezing asses. Smoking blunts was a daily routine since 13. A chubby nigga on the scene. I used to have the tray deuce and the deuce in my bubble goose. Now I got the Mac in my knapsack, lounging black, smoking sacks up in axe and sidekicks with my sidekicks, rocking fly kicks. Honeys wanna chat, but all we wanna know is where the party at. And can I bring my gat? If not, I hope I don't get shot. Better throw my vest on my chest, cause niggas is a mess. It don't take nothing but front for me to start something. Bugging and bucking at niggas like I was duck hunting. Dumbing out just me and my crew, cause all we wanna do is bullshit, and we party, and bullshit, and we party, and bullshit, and we party.
That was Party and Bullshit by Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls is the illest.
Definitely. Welcome back to They Met Online.
Yes,
you're here with Michelle Talbert.
And Ricardo Kingsbury.
And that was a great conversation we just had with Lincoln.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, it was.
Whether this might be one where you weren't
thinking Lincoln
about,
or LinkedIn?
Lincoln
Blades.
All right. This is your conscience.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his conscience, our conscience, everybody's conscience.
Everybody's conscience.
Let me tell you, I don't know. We say we talk about what people are thinking about. I don't know if you was thinking about Kim Kardashian's ass on that paper magazine.
I was. I just wanted to see what it looked like.
Oh, you saw what it looked like. Oh, oily and shiny and glistening like you like it.
And fake.
Is it fake? They say it's not fake.
Nah,
who knows?
That's fake. That's fake.
I don't think I care.
That can be a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. At any rate, so this week we have had a great conversation with Lincoln. We are so thankful to you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, please hit us up on Twitter at They Met Online, Facebook. If you're listening to us in iTunes, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, review
like
us.
Our show.
Like the show. It's really important to us because that helps other people find us, which helps us get more attention so that we can bring more episodes to you in this endeavor of love that is going on 2 years.
Yes, indeed.
So we are excited. We're going to go out on Shell's quote. Ricardo, you got anything else to say to the peoples?
Deuces, and listen to Shell's quote. It's always a good one.
Here it is. There is a way. It's simply a matter of finding it. Anonymous. We'll see you next time. Deuces.
Peace.